Hello everybody and welcome back to the Petri Dish. We are here in Chicago at VeeamON and I am with Paul Thurrott, who you may know, and I'm also with my new friend, who actually we have a really good mutual friend, Duncan Epping. And thanks for joining us today. And what brings you to Chicago?
Well, VeeamON, of course. And first of all, thanks for having me. It's a great show. I'm here for the Veeam show. I'm going to be presenting on vSAN tomorrow, actually, tomorrow in the afternoon.
Nice.
So I'm going to be talking about what we are planning for the upcoming releases. And hopefully we'll have a big audience during the session.
Nice. Can we?
Yep.
He knew right where.
We got a little preview, maybe.
Can we dive into that a little bit about what?
Yeah, sure. As I mentioned, I work for VMware. I'm part of the storage and availability business unit, and my focus primarily are the storage products, so vSAN. And what I'm going to be talking tomorrow specifically about is, okay, how did we get started? But more importantly, which direction are we heading towards? So what are we doing for our customers to make life easier? One of those things, for instance, is how you install and configure vSphere. So we work closely with the vSphere team. It's not just storage that we do, but we also try to improve the installation, the configuration method of vSphere itself. So
Interesting.
one example, for instance, is if you create a vSphere cluster today, and I realize that a lot of your audience is probably doing that on a day-to-day basis. You create the cluster, and then after that, you need to do separate different tasks. All of these different tasks are different workflows. So I'll be used that, okay, maybe we can make changes to that particular process. We would like to have, instead of having 3 or 4 different workflows, we prefer to have a single workflow with multiple steps. So that you as a customer don't skip particular steps that may be really important for the availability and for the reliability of your systems. So those are the things that I'll be talking about. I'll also be talking about something that's near and dear to, for instance, Veeam. It's a new snapshotting technology that we are developing right now.
Oh, interesting.
So there's a lot of different things that are coming up, and my aim, at least for this session, is to get some feedback from our customers as well and partners to understand if what we are building actually meets their requirements.
Interesting. And so, as a quick primer, do you know the time and location of your session tomorrow?
From the top of my head, my session starts around 1. But if you look for vSAN in the agenda, then you can't miss it.
Yep. And so obviously there's going to be people watching this after you've done it, and I'm sure there'll be a recording out there. So definitely go look for that if you're not catching it, obviously in the next 18 to 24 hours or so. And so...
Yeah, I mean, so Veeam had some big announcements today around availability and also around testing environments. Do you work hand in hand with them on, understanding the roadmap and making sure that you folks are aligned on, both of your ends for a full customer solution?
Sure, yeah, you would hope so.
Yeah, well,
that's
how might you do that?
No, that's definitely happening. We have a lot of partners. For a lot of our products and features, we actually have design partners as well. So you can imagine that for instance, something like VADP, our backup APIs, we work closely with companies like Veeam, but also, of course, with other companies like Tivoli, IBM Tivoli, Commvault, and you name it, to ensure that what we are building actually aligns with what their vision is as well. Some of the announcements that I've seen today were new to me, but I'm not too closely involved with some of the alliances aspects of what we do within VMware. But what we are working on right now from a vSAN perspective, yeah, that is definitely something that we are discussing with companies like Veeam and other companies in the industry as well. Not just Veeam, of course, not just partners, but also customers, because we need to make sure that what we are building actually meets their requirements.
Here's kind of a higher level question for you. What kind of trending are you seeing in your industry? Obviously, you get a very nice ground level perspective, and you're very hands-on with the IT pro world. But what kind of trends? It could be about VMware, it could be about anything else. What are you seeing in the industry right now?
Yeah, I think if you look at it from my point of view, just purely the storage perspective, most of our customers are moving towards all flash. I mean, that's definitely something that has been happening for the past year. Definitely in the US. In the US, we see a lot of people moving over, more so than in the rest of the world. Key reason for it being is that flash simply is cheaper in the US than it is in the rest of the world.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it has to do with the availability per region, and the availability is simply lower in other regions, which means that in Europe or in Africa you may pay 2x compared to what you guys end up paying, which is
Us guys.
Us specifically.
yeah, for you guys it's great. For us, it's not so good. But
Yeah.
that is changing as well now
Yep.
that we're starting to see more factories being ramped up. You name it. Other things that we are seeing is that what I'm currently noticing is that a lot of customers are starting to focus more on the upper layer of the infrastructure, not even the infrastructure itself, but on the applications, right? Over the past 10, 15 years, we've all focused on the infrastructure. We focused on the service, we focused on the hypervisor, we looked at the operating system that sat on top of it. Yeah, we didn't really care about the application because someone else owned that.
Sure.
Now what we're starting to do is we're starting to consume more services, and we're starting to focus on the application that we're installing on top. Why? Well, we know that is actually what's bringing value to the business.
Right.
And more IT teams are starting to realize that, and I hope that everyone will start to realize that, because as an IT, in the IT space, I think that is definitely something that needs to change. You saw it during the keynote as well, right? They started talking about IoT, they started talking about edge, they started
it's
talking
a
about
complete stack.
devices,
You
and here
can't-
we are talking
yeah.
about a traditional backup and recovery company.
Yep.
They are even buying into that story, so
Sure.
everyone should be.
I think we see that across the industry.
thinking
It's just
about
an
it.
expansion of companies that used to be very vertical oriented understand they need the full bloom of the
Yes.
entire end-to-end experience.
Very interesting. And so, we're logistically, how long are you in town? Where are you from? Let's get the backgrounds out.
Actually,
a little.
most importantly, I heard you guys have a mutual friend. Is it Rick?
Yes, we've known.
Is there any dirt you could provide us on Mr. Van?
I don't think Rick would like me to talk about it. I've been to a lot of
Oh no, it's off the record. It's-
I've been to a lot of Veeam parties at VMworld, and I've seen some crazy stuff, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
If you're not familiar, the Veeam throws some of the craziest parties.
Veeam parties are amazing.
yes.
Yeah, they always bring in good bands, excellent food, always have a good venue.
And it's fully packed. I mean,
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
they won't be able to fit anyone in.
You were
at
here
the end
last
of the
year,
evening.
right? In New
Yes.
Orleans. Did you go
This
to-
event.
No, last year in New Orleans. Did you go to?
No,
last
I wasn't there, unfortunately.
Oh. Were you at the one in Vegas?
Yes.
Yeah, the one in Vegas was kind of.
Yep.
Actually, it was crazy. There's no other way to describe,
Yep.
describe it. But so, where are you based? Are you local or
No, I'm far from
figured.
local. I'm from the Netherlands, actually. So I live in Europe.
Yep.
what part of the Netherlands? We go there
Yep.
frequently, actually.
I live in the south. I live near Eindhoven.
Okay, so this is in Detroit, Belgium.
Yeah, it's closer to Belgium and Germany than it is to Amsterdam.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Which is a good thing because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not big fan of Amsterdam. I prefer to live down south where
Okay.
it's a bit more relaxed.
Right. Right.
Gotcha. And so, what do you do on your day-to-day role? What's a typical day for Duncan?
Well, it kind of depends if I'm traveling or not. So that's kind of my role. I'm the chief technologist for VMware in the storage and availability business unit. So I get to do a lot of these types of events, present for customers. Sometimes it's 50 customers at a small user group event in
Sure.
in Germany.
Yep.
Sometimes it's Iceland or the UK, and sometimes I'm lucky I get invited to fly out to VeeamON in Chicago and present at one of these events.
Right.
If I'm not presenting at one of those events, I typically work from home. Our office is in the center of the Netherlands. I
Okay.
live in the south of the Netherlands, so I
So
don't
is
want
that
to travel too
VM
much.
in other words, VMware has their European center is in the Netherlands,
No, it's in the UK.
in the UK.
Yes, we have offices in almost every country in Europe. So that's
Right. That's great.
we have an office in the Netherlands as well. It
Right.
just happens to be somewhere else. So
Okay.
as my whole team sits out either in Ireland or in the US, I don't bother traveling to the office.
Okay.
Gotcha. I don't blame you. If you don't have to go into the office.
Yeah, why would you
Well,
travel?
Exactly. Is there anything else you want to let us know before we wrap it up about things that are going on with VMware, with vSAN, or anything else?
Well, I think from a vSAN perspective, we had a lot of announcements over the last 12 months. Those who've tried out vSAN, those who've looked at vSAN or have not looked at vSAN, I would urge everyone to look at the latest release, 6.7. It has a lot of enhancements around the capabilities that we already provided. So we can do all sorts of things with vSAN, ranging from stretched clusters to robo locations. We have a booth here. I've just been talking to a lot of customers that just wanted to say hi or just wanted
Yeah,
to get
sure,
to know
yeah.
more about some of the functionality that we have. And it's amazing what people are doing with it. Whether it's small shops, whether it's large shops, whether we're talking an Oracle database, Exchange, SQL, file servers, DNS, you name it.
Yep.
Everything lands on vSAN these days, and that's what I primarily focus my time on. So I would urge people to look into it, figure out what it is, play with it. You can download it, have some fun, and most importantly, provide us feedback. You can find me on Twitter. If you have feedback around the user experience, let me know.
Nice.
And real specifically, what is your Twitter? If somebody wants to reach out with feedback or question, what's the best way to reach you?
Twitter is definitely the easiest way, @DuncanYB.
YB.
Easiest way to find me, just drop me a message. I typically respond within 8 to 9 hours, depending on
Yep.
the time zone that I'm in.
This
if I'm
week
not
might be a
sleeping,
little different.
well, typically the US works well. It's more challenging when I travel to the
Yeah,
US,
sure.
but then again, I'm only sleeping for a couple of hours, so I may even respond faster when I'm in Chicago.
So there you have it, folks. He's the first person ever to put an SLA on a Twitter response.
Yep.
You got anything else for us before we shut her down, Paul?
I do not.
You got anything else you want to let us know about?
No, that's it. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for coming, and very much, folks. If you want to catch out more with Duncan, definitely give him a quick Google. I'm sure you're going to find a lot about him, and obviously he's got a session here at VeeamON. And thanks for tuning into the Petri Dish, and we'll catch you right back here next time.